Hi, Hana family. Welcome back. And happy October. I hope you are ready for a new batch of true paranormal stories and some video clips from my most recent trip to New England. Stopped by some really interesting places, took some videos, and hopefully within the next month I'll get them all processed and edited and uploaded on the channel. So stick around for that. But for now, sit back and enjoy the show. Story 1. Ghostly House Husband. It was around 1987. My husband, our 7-year-old son, and barely 2-year-old son, and of course myself, moved into this beautiful house in Santa Ana, California. The woman who rented it to us had this beautiful rose garden in the front yard, and she wanted someone to help tend it. That turned out to be my job. As it turned out, this woman's husband had very recently passed away. While he was alive, he had done all kinds of special innovations to the house. Hidden doorbells, paneling in the family room, etc., etc. Anyway, this woman went out after her husband died and went to Las Vegas for the weekend. She ended up coming home married to a man that I kind of got the impression from was a bit of a gold digger and just wanted her money. But it didn't seem like she realized this. So we rented the house with a 6-month lease. As soon as we moved in and got settled, strange things started happening. It seemed like I was the only one experiencing these things. The first thing that happened was the headboard in my oldest son's bed. The headboard was bolted to the frame of the bed, but one day it started slamming against the wall. This woke me up, it was so loud. I went into the kids' room, and they were both sound asleep, but the headboard was hitting the wall. So I went to the bathroom and grabbed a couple of towels, and I rolled them up, and I stuck them between the wall and the headboard, so the headboard wouldn't damage the wall, and then I went back to bed. Not even 5 minutes later, I could hear the headboard hitting the wall again. My husband was dead to the world. I couldn't wake him. I went back to the kids' room, and there were the towels, in the middle of the floor. It was freezing in that room, and I felt like someone was in there with us. So I said, "Whoever you are, we mean you no harm. Please stop messing with my son's bed. Leave my children alone. They are innocent. We moved here because we really liked this house. If you are the husband of the lady who rented it to us, please understand we only want to take care of your special home." After that, there was no more noise from our children's room. But the next thing that started happening was that our clothes that my husband and I would take off before bed and laid on a chair, or in my husband's case, the floor, began to be wet and sticky every single morning. But the floor or the chair were never wet, just the clothes. This went on every night until we moved. Then one morning, when I was in the shower, the bathroom had a mirror over the sink. It also had a full-length mirror on the wall. I got out of the shower and was drying off when I looked in the mirror of the sink, and there was an old man staring back at me. I fled the bathroom, scared out of my wits. After that occurrence, even stranger things began to take place. By this time, my husband had begun to believe me when I told him all the stuff that was taking place. At first, he thought I was imagining it. The living room and the kitchen at the front of the house were always freezing cold, and I always had weird sensations when I was in these rooms. Then the lights started to go on and off whenever I was cooking dinner or doing the dishes. Then the cupboard doors began to open and slam shut, out of control. This scared me. I said out loud, "In Jesus' name, be gone." But still, this continued to happen. So, being completely creeped out, my husband and I decided that it was time, that we just needed to move. We believed the ghost to be the owner's dead husband, and that he was angry about her remarrying so suddenly and for renting out their home. So we found a new place to live, and we moved out without letting their landlord know. Yeah, we broke our lease. On the last day we lived there, while I was waiting for my husband to come back with the U-Haul truck, I was in the kitchen packing our dishes. I'd left this to last because I hated being in this kitchen. All of a sudden, the screen door slammed, the lights went off, and all of the cupboards started opening and slamming shut. I freaked out. I ran outside, and I sat on the lawn until my husband came home. Never before or since have I experienced something so terrifying. This man's ghost did not want us there. Period. End of story. Story 2. Unhappy House. This isn't a story I tell many people, but here we go. I used to live in Portsmouth, Virginia. I was stationed there with my husband and my son. It was a beautiful, historic place. Our townhome was perfect and old. We moved in and soon figured out that we were going to be believers in ghosts. About a month after we moved in, little things started to go missing. Keys, certain baby toys, one boot that my husband would need for work. We would ask each other if we moved things, but neither of us had. After really looking around with no luck, we checked the baby's room. By the closet, or in the closet, were all the items that were missing. We thought this was strange, but just went back about our day. Things like this went on for a few months. Next came the funny feelings. Like the day my son, who was almost a year old at this point, watched something move around just in front of him. He would stare at empty spaces. My husband and I would get the feeling of being watched or followed into certain rooms, where just a wave of fear would overcome us. We noticed that even our son wasn't sleeping well in his room. He cried when left alone in his crib, in his room, or in the living room, in his bouncy seat. We started to worry. I even asked the landlord if anything strange had happened to the previous tenants. She ignored my questions and never called me back. I asked a neighbor. He stated that there was a story of a poltergeist a block away from here. He also says that he sleeps with music playing and all the lights on in his apartment. He refused to come into my home. After talking to neighbors, things took on a whole new level of fear. My son was no longer sleeping in his room. We were rarely on separate floors alone. The closet door was always opening by itself, even when firmly shut and latched. This was not just us walking away and coming back to it open. It would open on its own while I was in the room folding baby clothes. We stopped using that room altogether. Our son, who watched the invisible something, stopped. He would stare at something approaching and then just start screaming in fear. The spirit in my home was very bold. It would turn off lights when we walked upstairs, open the sliding closet door in our bedroom during the night, and then slam it shut, purposefully scaring the baby and ourselves. It took our St. Christopher necklaces. Soon we stopped using the upstairs altogether. Our dog started losing its hair, and our vet couldn't figure out the reason. Little sounds during the night, the smell of dirt or flowers that was sometimes overpowering. The feeling of being intimidated, threatened, taunted was coming to a boiling point. I would hide on the couch with the dog and the baby, or we'd flee outside to escape. I would avoid looking in mirrors in case I saw something. I would stand at the bottom of the stairs, staring up. The closet door in the baby's room would open. I would run up the stairs. I'd run to my room and grab clothes. The baby would be screaming. I'd run to the stairs just to hear my dog start barking and the closet door reopen every single day. This went on for 3 months. We called a paranormal society to come in. The medium said to leave our home immediately. The closet was always open and closing. The paranormal society's members only stayed for 35 minutes before they grabbed their stuff and fled the house. The medium said it's a woman, full of anger, and she means harm. We started to look for new places to live. A few days later, our neighbor asked if we had someone visiting. I said no. He said there was a woman looking out our window the day before. Later on that evening, my husband woke me up. He said in a whisper, "Listen." You could hear the closet door open. Something stepped out with heavy shoes on. They walked slowly to the doorway, to the hallway. We both stood up, staring at the ceiling. We followed the footsteps and realized that something was at the top of our stairs, facing down. We were at the bottom of our stairs, just around the corner. Slowly, something started down the steps. We both froze in fear. Just as we would have came face to face with whatever it was, I panicked and ran for the baby, and that something stormed up the stairs and slammed the closet door shut. That was the last time the baby and I lived there. We moved to a new home. It was the longest and most terrifying 8 months of my life. Our landlord says that no one stays there, and she let us break our lease. I didn't believe in ghosts growing up. I was a believe it when I see it type person. I believe in them now, and I fear them.